Episode 17 begins at the Blue Arena Water Park. Of course, everybody's going to be there, including Sakura and her friends. So there's Sakura now, and she does what anybody else would do, have fun and have a little good time. And of course, let's not forget Sakura's best friend Madison. She's there too. Luckily for her, she brings her camcorder along. So long story short, back with Sakura, who had just tried out the tube ride twice, that's when Madison wanted to know, is she scared at all? Well, I was at first, of course, but I have to admit, it is kind of fun. This, of course, is at least there's something we can agree with. I'm glad we all came that day. And of course, Madison happens to agree with her. But then, of course, says, hey, Sakura, why don't you come over here? Let's not forget, Sakura's other friends are there too, Chelsea, Nikki, Rita, Lee, and Eli. I almost forgot, Zachary's there too, but we'll get to him later. So, what Chelsea did is that she told Sakura and Madison to come swim with them. And so that's what everybody did. And of course, you can say that Sakura is teaching Rita how to swim, so that's interesting. Then, long story short, Nikki and Chelsea are having a conversation about how Rita's getting better at swimming. Of course, they're not kidding. Well, according to Nikki, what she says in her case that Sakura had been teaching Rita all summer. Now that's interesting. So back with Rita after she finished swimming for a while, that's when Sakura made a compliment with her to say, you're getting better by the minute. Do you think so? Rita asked. Absolutely, Sakura said. I agree, Nikki said, when it's her turn to plead her case. So then it's Nikki's turn to make a compliment. She says, thanks to Sakura, you're getting better and better. Then Madison approached Rita. And of course, Madison wasn't kidding when she said to Rita that it must be great to swim on your own. So meanwhile, the boys, Lee and Eli, are having a swim race with each other. And of course, the girls were watching them, and so was Zachary. Well, while watching them swim, both Lee and Eli, Sakura couldn't help but wonder how fast they are. Of course, Rita wasn't kidding when Sakura said that and said that she wished she could swim as fast as they are. But according to Nikki, although she agrees with Rita, but she says, I seriously doubt it. So as Lee and Eli are swimming back, that's when Zachary pleads his case to say they're not only swimming with each other, they're trying to make their best times, and this is the pool that does it, and etc. So long story short, back with the boys, Lee and Eli, well, Eli won the race, although Lee admitted that he came that close. Don't worry, Eli says, you'll beat me next time. And of course, Eli wasn't kidding when he said it. Then Eli tries to give Lee the advice the best way he knew how. He says it would help if you had relaxed a little and not rushed so much. You can conserve your energy that way, he said. Then Eli says, when the time comes and if that time comes, you should focus on your energy. That would help a lot, he said. So long story short, back with Eli, he gets out of the water to join up with the girls. So Sakura wanted to know from Eli, is he getting hungry? As a matter of fact, I am, Eli said. And then Sakura asked Lee if he would join up with them. Well, Lee doesn't say a word. So after Eli heads off, it was now Lee's turn to get out of the water, but he slipped and fell back in. So Sakura says, what happened? Are you okay? Don't worry, he's fine. So long story short, that's when Rita told everyone, you know what I heard? This place has the best cream sodas there is. She's not kidding. So Rita made a suggestion that they should all check it out. Now Chelsea's the first to agree with her and says, well, what are we waiting for? Let's go. So on the way to the cream soda booth, that's when Nikki was asking Zach if he would try some. And Zach agrees. Also, Sakura was asking Madison the exact same question if she would like to try some. And Madison says sure. Then Sakura looked at Madison and she says, now don't tell Kira that I said this, but I told him we were all going to this place today. Then Sakura says, wait, there's more. At first, Kiro got so excited, but then he freaked out when I declined that he should come along. But then Sakura just let slip to Madison to say she tried to warn Kiro about other people coming, but he just won't take no for an answer and he wouldn't listen. Then Madison said if I know Kiro, he's probably tagging along right now. But Sakura says no way, not a chance. So, in the water park's locker room, in locker 3880, guess who decided to tag along anyway? It's Kiro, and he's in Sakura's swim bag. And inside the locker, no doubt. Unfortunately for Sakura and her friends, they were not aware of it yet. So back with Sakura and her friends, they had just arrived at a cream soda stand. Of course, three of the workers are working there. We have Tori, who's Sakura's brother, his best friend Julian, and Ruby. So anyway, Julian explains to Sakura why he's there. He says that himself, Tori, and Ruby are working for the weekend. Interesting. Anyway, Tori's a waiter, and of course, Ruby's the waitress. So, while at the table, that's when Ruby accidentally bumped into him. Now, you can tell that Tori's getting really, really annoyed with her, and I can't say I blame him, because ever since she arrived, and every time he tries to let slip to his best friend Julian who he is and why he's so tired, he gets rudely interrupted repeatedly. And you could tell that Tori had reached his limits. So long story short, back with Julian, he was more than happy to take the order of cream soda for Sakura and her friends. So while that's going on, back with Tori, he was looking at Eli. And he has this thought in his mind that he knows Eli's up to something, but the problem is he has just had no idea. So back with Julian, he was passing out the cream sodas to everyone, and then he thanked Eli for all his help. This is weird, Sakura said. Since when did you and Eli ever met? Sakura asked. Well, Julian was more than happy to answer that because he said it happened about a week prior when he passed out in the schoolyard, and Eli helped him out. So Julian heads off after he hears the voice of Sakura's brother Tori calling his name. As for Sakura back with her, she finds this really weird because she was not aware of this news, just until now. So everyone was enjoying their cream sodas for the first time. It's not bad, but it is good. So back with Julian and Tori, now Julian apologized for yelling in front of Tori. He just couldn't help but not understand why he was so tired. He got enough sleep since the other day. Now Tori can tell that there was something off with his best friend. He just saw his finger disappear a moment ago. So Julian was grabbed by the arm by Tori. So Julian says, Hey, what's going on? What's wrong with you? He asked. At first, Tori was going to say something to Julian, but instead he says nothing. So Julian says, Don't worry about me. I'll be okay, he said. So, as I mentioned before, it seems that no matter how many times Tori tries to reveal to Julian and why he's so tired all of a sudden, he gets rudely interrupted over and over by Ruby, and you can tell that he was really angry and annoyed. So, back with Kiro, remember him? I guess someone must have let him out of the locker, and I'll give you a hint. It's not Sakura or her friends. Anyway, he was busy looking around to see all the glasses of cream soda, and he couldn't help but wonder which one he should take, Sakura's or Lee's. He thought of Lee's, but then he thought, wait, he may catch me in the act. So he thought of taking Sakura's instead. But once again, Sakura was unaware that for some reason someone just let Kiro out of her locker and drank out of her cream soda until she realized that the glass was empty. So long story short, Sakura's best friend Madison wants to know what's going on with you. Well, for some reason, Sakura said, my cream soda's all gone. Maybe you drank it all, Lee suggested. So Sakura pleads her case to say that there's no way she could have done it because she had no idea that someone else must have done it. Or something. But then Sakura and Lee just saw something moving in the bushes. That's when Sakura should have known. Yes, it was Kiro. He's the one that drank Sakura's cream soda, and she doesn't even know about it. Just till now. So meanwhile in the wave pool we have Chelsea, Nikki, Rita, Eli, and Zachary. So when Nikki suggested to Sakura, Madison, and Lee to try out the wave pool, that's when Sakura said that she will, but just a little bit later. But she has to go to her locker, so she heads off along with Madison and Lee. Oh, you're probably wondering what happened to Kiro. Oh, he's in Lee's shirt. So by the time that the three of them, Sakura, Lee, and Madison, were hiding, that's when Sakura had reprimanded Kiro that he should never have tagged along and etc. So Kiro has his turn to plead his case to say, I know you did. Then he also pleaded his case how much he wanted the cream soda so desperately and etc. So Madison has her turn to ask a question. Did you try out Sakura's cream soda? If you did, how does it taste? Then Lee has his turn to ask a question. Really? Is food all you think about? Well, Kiro started to explain how he has his taste for food and etc. He told that to Lee. Well, for Sakura, that's the last straw, so she grabs Kiro and says, That's enough! Go back to the locker right now, she said. All right, Kiro says, I will if you give me a slice of pie, he suggested. But then Kiro says, Wait, did you sense that? But Kiro's not the only one who sensed something weird, but so did Sakura and Lee. They'd sensed something weird too. So we know what this means. Something weird is going on. And now Sakura's wondering where that sound is coming from, and it's coming from the wave machine. And we know what that also means. Because there's something weird going on with the wave machine, that causes everyone to evacuate. That includes Chelsea, Nikki, Rita, and Zachary. So long story short, back with Sakura, Kiro, Lee, and Madison, when they saw that Rita's in trouble, Sakura knew that she has to do something about it. So anyway, back with Rita, she tried to get out of the water, but there was no such luck. Meanwhile, Tori and Julian, they tried to save Rita the best way they knew how. Anyway, good news for Zachary, Chelsea, and Nikki, they managed to make it out, except for Rita. So back with Rita, she tries to struggle to swim ashore, but the lifeguard's trying to save her and along with Julian and Tori. Watching it happen were Lee, Madison, and Sakura. Now they're getting really worried that if something isn't done soon, then Rita's going to get hurt, or worse. So back with Tori and Julian, good news for them, they managed to rescue a couple of kids, but now here comes the problem. How are they going to save Rita? So back with Sakura, Lee, Madison, and Kiro, Sakura knew that she's getting extremely concerned. She knows she has to come up with a plan and she has to come up with one quick. But now, according to Sakura, here comes a problem. How she's going to use her magic in front of everyone and without everyone noticing. Now that's a big serious situation on Sakura's part. So before Sakura could do anything about it, that's when Kiro said, Now don't take it wrong, I know you're desperate to use your magic, but just remember, you can't let anyone see you, he said. The man says, Wait, here's an idea. Why don't you use that water slide over there, she suggested. That way nobody can see you, she said. So Sakura, after she listens to Madison's suggestion, and of course it's a good idea, so she runs off to the water slide. It just might be crazy enough to work, so Sakura knows what to do. As always, she uses her star key and changes it into a star staff, just like she normally does. So, you know what this means. She has to come up with a plan to calm the waves down. And by how? By using the water card. And she changes it into the star card. So she did. So that makes it 32 on the list. So thanks to the water star card that Sakura used, all the water around the water park becomes calm again. Of course, even better, thanks to Sakura, her best friend Ria's been rescued. And of course, Chelsea, Nikki, and Zachary, who showed up to Rita later, they were glad to see that she's safe. So anyway, back with Eli and Ruby. Ruby started pleading her case with Eli and said, "You know something? If Sakura hadn't used the water card in the first place, you could have done something to stop the waves yourself. So what I want to know from you is, why do you even bother anyway?" she asked. "Don't worry, Ruby," Eli said. "I'll assure you that Sakura's going to learn soon enough. You'll see." But how soon is anyone's guess, since now that Sakura has 32 star cards on the list so far. So that ends episode 17.